Chosen one, if this message finds its way to you before the 1st of July, know this: you are not reading by chance. This is not an accident, nor a random piece of writing scrolling past your screen. This is a sacred signal, an invisible summons echoing from the halls of heaven. It is not a coincidence. It is alignment. You have arrived, not because of curiosity, but because your spirit has been drawn here by divine design. This moment was etched into heaven's calendar before the world knew your name. And now, time has caught up to prophecy. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Weight of Glory, there are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. This profound truth underscores the divine intentionality of your presence in this moment. You are not a fleeting figure in God's plan, but a soul marked for a sacred appointment, chosen before time began. Lewis's words remind you that this summons is not random. It is a call to an eternal purpose, and your response before the 1st of July will determine how fully you step into the destiny heaven has prepared. There are days on the human calendar that are not just ordinary days. They are divine appointments, moments encoded in eternity, where heaven interrupts the ordinary to deliver the extraordinary. If you are hearing this before the 1st of July, then you are standing at the edge of one such appointment. Not one crafted by human hands, but one authored by God Himself. Not one triggered by your striving, but by your surrender. The timing of this message is a sign. Something holy is unfolding behind the scenes, and heaven is preparing to reveal it through you. You were not wandering. Every step you've taken, even the ones that felt lost, were leading you here. What felt like delay was divine setup. What looked like detour was sacred redirection. God has not forgotten you. He has hidden you until now. Because there are moments when heaven reveals what it has been quietly building. And this is one of those moments. Before the 1st of July, a door will open. Not because you knocked the loudest, but because your name has been whispered in rooms you've never entered. You didn't earn this with performance. You were marked for it by obedience. If your soul is stirring, if your spirit senses a shift too deep for words, then believe this: your name has been called, not by men, not by chance, but by the one who governs time, authors destiny, and never misses a moment. You are not just entering a new season. You are being summoned into a divine convergence, where your pain, your waiting, and your faith will collide with the perfect timing of God. You are the chosen one, and heaven has scheduled something sacred for you before the 1st of July. If this message stirred your spirit, don't scroll past. Comment, "I receive it. Lord, the 1st of July is mine." 777. As a sign of agreement. This is not random, it's alignment. Let heaven see your faith. Let the gates open over you. Declare it now, your moment is near. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the silence becomes deafening, when prayers feel unanswered, doors stay closed, and heaven seems quiet. But hear this clearly: God's silence is not His absence. In fact, the stillness is often the sound of divine construction. It is in the quiet, hidden places that the deepest alignments are formed. What looked like delay was actually design. What felt like emptiness was sacred calibration. God was never ignoring you. He was preparing you layer by layer, moment by moment, heartbreak by heartbreak, for a future that could only be carried by someone refined in fire. Reflecting on the subtlety of spiritual opposition, C.S. Lewis wrote in the Screwtape Letters, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts." This warning illuminates the danger of mistaking God's silence for abandonment. The enemy seeks to lull you into complacency, convincing you that the stillness is meaningless. But Lewis's insight reveals that the quiet seasons were not wasted. They were God's deliberate design to refine your spirit, ensuring you emerge ready for the divine appointment awaiting you before the 1st of July. The stillness you felt has not been wasted. It's been holy. While you questioned, He was coordinating. While you waited, he was weaving together unseen threads, people, places, decisions, disappointments, all for your good. The room may have been silent, but the courts of heaven were active. God was not punishing you with delay, he was positioning you for destiny. You see, divine appointments don't rise from chaos. They emerge from precise alignment, and that alignment happens in silence, where ego dies, trust grows, and spiritual ears begin to hear beyond the noise of this world. You were not being overlooked, you were being adjusted. Heaven wasn't ignoring your cries, it was refining your posture. Because what's coming requires more than desire, it demands readiness. The blessing you're about to carry cannot be handed to someone still clinging to past wounds, former identities, or expired seasons. So God allowed the silence to strip away what could not come with you. He closed doors not to deprive you, but to protect your direction. He withheld answers not to confuse you, but to purify your focus. The stillness was sacred space, so that your soul could grow still enough to hear his whisper again. Chosen one. If your life has felt painfully still, almost too quiet to make sense, then know this: you are in divine timing. And divine timing is never rushed, never random, and never wrong. Heaven is never late, and before the 1st of July, what has been hidden will begin to stir. What has felt silent will begin to speak. But the sound won't come from outside, it will rise from within. The stillness was not empty. It was full of purpose. Chosen one. Heaven does not operate on human clocks. Divine appointments are not casual coincidences, they are precision encounters, marked down to the second, forged in realms you cannot see. When God moves, he moves with flawless timing. And when he aligns, even delays are deliberate, even detours are divine. Every closed door, every missed call, every person who left your life, known of it was random, all of it was calculated, all of it was sacred. Because divine alignment is never just about what you walk into, it's about what God had to pull you out of first. You had to lose that job. You had to miss that opportunity. That relationship had to fall apart, not because you were being punished, but because heaven was protecting your appointment. Had you continued in those directions, you would have collided with distraction, not destiny. God's timing is so holy, so intricate, that even a single moment off course could cost you the magnitude of what he's preparing to release. So rather than rush you into the blessing, he restrained you for your own sake. And what looks like missed timing to you, heaven has it recorded. What looked like random heartbreak, heaven has it archived. You've cried over timelines, over silence, over not understanding why certain doors never opened, and all the while, God was orchestrating something far beyond your vision. His calendar is not built around convenience, it's built around calling. He's not aligning you just for promotion, he's aligning you for purpose. Before the 1st of July, there will be a divine intersection and appointment, not just with opportunity, but with revelation. But you must understand, divine timing does not just concern where you are, but who you are when you get there. That's why this waiting season has felt like pressure. That's why you've been stretched in every direction. God hasn't only been arranging the right doors, he's been preparing the right version of you to walk through them. Because you can't carry a holy assignment with a heart still chained to yesterday. He's not just aligning your circumstances, he's aligning your posture. He's aligning your faith, your vision, your spiritual appetite, so that when the moment comes, you won't just be present, you'll be ready. Because in the kingdom, even seconds matter. And heaven has counted every second you stayed faithful when it didn't make sense. And now, time is folding inward. The calendar of God is converging upon your life. And the next few days will mark a turn no man can reverse. There is something heaven has been doing in secret, not to punish you, but to purify you. Because, chosen one, the blessing that is approaching cannot be carried by a heart still tangled in offense. You cannot step into divine release while clinging to the residue of old disappointments. You cannot carry the weight of heaven while dragging the baggage of betrayal. And so, in this long season of silence, God has not simply been orchestrating the external, he's been doing sacred surgery within. In Merry Christianity, C.S. Lewis wrote, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg." This metaphor captures the essence of your current season of preparation. The silence and stretching you've endured are the cracking of the shell, the painful but necessary process of shedding past wounds and identities. Lewis's words remind you that to carry the blessing God has prepared, you must embrace the transformation required to soar into your divine purpose, leaving behind what no longer serves you. He has been recalibrating your compass, restoring your ability to hope again, reteaching you how to trust when there are no signs, and refining your ability to see not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of faith. Because what's coming is not just an answered prayer, it is a divine trust. And heaven does not entrust miracles to hearts that haven't been prepared to steward them. That's why this season has demanded so much. That's why the stretching has been relentless. You're not being broken. You're being readied. There are many who miss their appointment, not because they were disqualified, but because they could not release what should have been buried. They confused discomfort with disorder, and in doing so, walked away from the very tension that was aligning them. But you, if you have felt the unfamiliar weight of this season, if you've sensed the stretching deep in your soul, then take heart. You are not lost. You are aligned. Divine appointments are not handed to the comfortable. They are assigned to the faithful. They are not delivered in ease. They are released through endurance. And your endurance has not gone unnoticed. Your tears were not wasted. They watered the very soil your miracle is about to grow in. Your surrender wasn't weakness. It was a transaction. You laid down your right to understand, and heaven marked it as faith. So let this be clear. Before the 1st of July, your posture matters, not your platform, not your followers, not your achievements, but the condition of your heart. Is it clean enough to carry glory? Is it soft enough to forgive what hurt you? Is it bold enough to say yes to what you can't yet see? Because that is the kind of vessel heaven is seeking, and that is the kind of soul God is about to accelerate. Chosen one, what God is preparing for you will not follow human logic. His appointments rarely do. In fact, when heaven schedules a shift, it often appears the least convenient, the most unlikely, and the hardest to believe. But this is the pattern of the divine. Mary was a virgin, and she was chosen to carry the Messiah. Moses had a speech impediment, yet he was commanded to confront kings. Esther was an orphan, hidden and quiet, yet she was elevated to save an entire nation. God has never been interested in qualifications. He moves through obedience. That's why this next assignment may feel strange. It might stretch you beyond your experience. It might require you to speak when you'd rather stay silent, or stay silent when everything in you wants to speak. But remember this: the more illogical the instruction, the more likely it has been birthed in the mind of God. Because divine assignments are not built on human comfort. They are built on eternal purpose. You may be wondering why you feel so underqualified for what's beginning to form around you. Why doors are opening that don't match your resume. Why people are watching you, asking for your voice, looking to you for answers when you still feel like you're figuring everything out. It's because God qualifies the called, not the other way around. And when He calls, He covers, He protects, He appoints angels to walk with you into rooms you never expected to enter. This is not about your name. It's about His purpose on your life. So don't shrink back. Don't dismiss the calling just because it doesn't look like what you imagined. Heaven has not mistaken you. God knows exactly who He's choosing. And before the 1st of July, the opportunity set before you may look wild, intimidating, even beyond your reach, but that's how you'll know it's divine. Because if it made perfect sense, it wouldn't require faith. And God is not inviting you into logic. He is inviting you into obedience. The next thing He asks you to do may not make sense to your friends, your family, or even to yourself. But if your spirit bears witness, move, step, obey. Because obedience is the gate through which glory enters, and God is about to do something through you that others will not understand, but it will make heaven stand in awe. Chosen one, heaven wastes nothing, not your sorrow, not your silence, not even the suffering that seemed to come without reason. The nights you cried without answers, the prayers you whispered when no one else knew, the inner battles you fought behind your smile, none of it went unseen. Your pain has been collected, measured, and repurposed. And though the wounds may have felt cruel, they were never random. Every ache was filtered through the sovereignty of God. Every delay was laced with divine strategy. Before the 1st of July, you will begin to see why it had to be this way. You'll start to understand that the things you lost were not taken from you, they were lifted. You weren't being denied, you were being preserved. That door didn't close to punish you. It closed because it would have poisoned your future. That person didn't walk away to break you. They walked away because their presence would have contaminated your alignment. You didn't miss out, you were spared. Because divine appointments are not simply about reward, they're about responsibility. And what you're being entrusted with now required a level of maturity that could only be forged through fire. The anointing on your life is weighty. It's not for decoration, it's for assignment. So God allowed seasons of crushing not to destroy you, but to extract the oil of your calling. The waiting stretched your faith, the loss refined your motives, the silence deepened your discernment, and all of it prepared you for what's coming. If this message has stirred your spirit, if you feel the weight of this divine moment, don't remain silent. Heaven is waiting for your response. Declare your faith and claim this sacred appointment by commenting below, "I am ready for my divine appointment before the 1st of July. I say yes to God's call." Let this be your act of alignment, your bold step into obedience. Share this message with others who need to hear it, for there are more chosen ones waiting to be awakened. Write it now, chosen one, and let heaven see your heart. The door is opening, and your yes will unlock what God has prepared. There is a holy connection between your obedience and the acceleration that's about to break forth. Not acceleration for applause, but for purpose. You've sown in secret. You've fasted in faith. You've remained when others left. And now, the God who sees in secret is preparing to reward you in the open. Not because you were perfect, but because you stayed, because you trusted, because you kept walking when the road made no sense. And now the reward will make no sense either. The breakthrough will arrive faster than expected. The blessing will outweigh the battle. The doors will open without effort, and the only explanation will be, God aligned it. Chosen one, there's a reason you couldn't see the full picture. There's a reason the path felt foggy, unpredictable, and confusing at times. It's not because God was toying with your trust, it's because He was protecting your destiny. Heaven often hides the plan not to frustrate you, but to shield you. Because if you had seen every detail, every twist, every breakthrough and battle ahead of time, you might have tried to take control. You might have leaned on logic instead of faith. You might have rushed what God was asking you to wait for, or clung to what He was asking you to release. So He concealed it, not as punishment, but as preservation. Because divine appointments require not just readiness, they require surrender, and true surrender is only tested when you walk forward with no map, only a whisper. God hid the timeline so you wouldn't sabotage the miracle. He delayed the explanation so you'd develop spiritual endurance. He kept the details out of reach so your trust would grow deeper than your understanding. That's not cruelty. That's craftsmanship. And while you thought nothing was happening, everything was happening. Conversations you haven't heard are already shifting in your favor. Rooms you've never entered are echoing with your name. Decisions that affect your future are being rewritten as you read these words. Heaven is not waiting to act, heaven is waiting for your alignment, because when God aligns, He also assigns. And right now, angelic forces have been deployed on your behalf. Not because you earned it, but because you obeyed. God saw when you wanted to quit but didn't. He saw when no one supported you but you stayed faithful. He saw when you felt empty but gave anyway. That obedience has created access. That surrender has activated the supernatural. And what's being arranged for you behind the veil cannot be stopped, not by man, not by system, not by spirit. So do not be discouraged by what you don't know yet. God hides what is holy until it is time. And before the 1st of July, the invisible will begin to surface. The hidden will start to manifest. And what once confused you will suddenly confirm everything your spirit already knew. Heaven has been working in secret just for you. Chosen one. You've wondered why it's been so intense lately, why the weight has felt unbearable, why the warfare increased, why the resistance grew stronger just when you thought you were gaining ground. But hear this clearly. The pressure wasn't punishment, it was proof. Proof that you were getting close. Hell doesn't panic over those going in circles. It panics when someone starts moving in alignment, and that's what you've been doing perhaps without even knowing it. The warfare increased because your steps were catching heaven's rhythm. The resistance intensified because your posture was provoking change. The more aligned you became with divine timing, the more unstable the enemy's grip on your life became. You weren't under attack because you were weak. You were under attack because you were advancing. Every dark force assigned to delay, you recognized what you were carrying before you did. And it tried everything, distraction, disappointment, deception to stop you from stepping in. But you didn't quit, you didn't fold, you kept showing up, you prayed in exhaustion, you praised through heaviness, you held on when nothing made sense, and heaven noticed. The enemy thought pressure would break you, but it only revealed your spiritual muscle. Because what God is about to release over your life cannot be handed to someone soft. It cannot be given to someone who needs applause to stay faithful. It is only entrusted to those who can stand in silence and still say, I trust you. That's why this season stretched you so deeply. Before God brings you into new territory, He strengthens what must sustain it. You weren't being crushed, you were being conditioned. He wasn't ignoring your prayers. He was answering them by making you into the person who could carry the weight of the answer. Every tear, every lonely hour, every unseen act of faith, it was all building you, brick by brick, into a vessel that could host His glory. Before the 1st of July, there will be a shift, but not just around you, in you. You'll feel it, a holy readiness, a deep clarity, a sacred release, because now your posture is right. And heaven is not just about to reward you, it's about to launch you. Chosen one. What is coming for you is not just significant, it is sacred. And heaven does not release the sacred without also assigning protection. You must understand, the appointment before you has been sealed by God, and it is not just accompanied by favor, it is guarded by angels. There are battles you will never see because they've already been won in realms you cannot enter. There are forces that tried to sabotage what's coming, but they were met by swords of light, wielded by messengers sent from the throne. You are not walking into this alone. You are not stepping forward uncovered. From the moment you said yes to God in secret, the divine began building a perimeter around your life. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What you called isolation was divine insulation. Heaven didn't just delay your access, it protected your promise. Because the assignment on your life is too weighty to be mishandled. And God will not let what is holy be thrown into the hands of the careless. These angels are not just guarding a blessing. They are standing over a moment in time, a convergence of purpose, obedience, and divine will that is too precise to be left to chance. The shift that is about to take place before the 1st of July has already been written in the scrolls of heaven, and God has declared it irreversible. No weapon formed against it can prosper. No system can block it. No human voice can override what God has decreed. But with every divine appointment comes increased spiritual sensitivity. You must walk carefully now, not in fear but in reverence. Not every open door is your door. Not every offer is your assignment. Discernment will be your shield in this hour. because what God is about to give you is holy ground, and you must be prepared to treat it as such. You've been tested in obscurity. You've been trusted in silence. Now you will be guarded in glory, because God is not just revealing His promise, He is defending it. And if you remain aligned, if you stay surrendered, the very forces that once tried to destroy you will have to watch you rise under the shadow of angelic wings. Chosen one, you are stepping into a moment where time will no longer move as it once did. When heaven releases acceleration, it does not consult the clock, it consults your posture. And the season that is opening before you is not one of delay or gradual increase. It is a suddenly, a holy convergence where years of waiting will collapse into moments of fulfillment. But hear this clearly. Acceleration does not pause for indecision. This is not a time to hesitate. It is not a time to second-guess the whisper of the Spirit. Divine momentum has been initiated, and heaven is moving swiftly on your behalf, for your sake, and through your obedience. But if you look back, if you cling to what God told you to leave, if you stall where He told you to step, the moment will pass. Not because the door closed, but because your hesitation left you out of position. God is not looking for perfection in this hour. He's looking for agreement, for a heart that says yes even when the path is unclear, for a soul that obeys without needing every detail, for a spirit willing to risk misunderstanding in exchange for obedience. That's what unlocks acceleration, not striving, not performance, but surrender. Some of you have been waiting for a sign. This is your sign. This is heaven's green light. This is the moment you prayed for, but it will not look the way you imagined. It will come dressed in obedience, wrapped in instruction, and sealed with urgency, and your response will determine your access. Because heaven will not slow down to match your hesitation. It will accelerate those who match its frequency, those whose faith moves at the speed of God's whisper. The breakthrough before the 1st of July is real, but it is tied to your movement. Not just physical movement, but spiritual agreement, the kind of obedience that acts before comfort, that steps before clarity, that moves because the Spirit has spoken. This is how generational curses are broken. This is how spiritual inheritance is released, not through fear, not through logic, through radical obedience. So don't stall now. Don't let what you don't understand keep you from what heaven is handing you. You've waited too long, prayed too deeply, sacrificed too much to hesitate on the threshold of your release. The blessing is in motion, and God is asking one thing from you: move. When I say move, chosen one, this calling on your life was never just about you. The weight you carry, the battles you've fought, the instructions you've received in secret, they were always tied to more than just your breakthrough. There are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. Souls bound in darkness, hearts aching for clarity, lives searching for hope who will find deliverance because you said yes. Heaven does not waste obedience. When you forgive, someone else receives peace. When you step out, someone else receives courage. When you remain faithful, someone else receives a reason to believe again. What looks small in the natural creates ripple effects in the spirit. Because in the kingdom, a single act of obedience can echo through generations. This is why you've been tested so deeply. This is why God took you the long way around. Because you're not just a vessel of blessing, you are a carrier of breakthrough. You are someone's answered prayer, someone's long-awaited sign, someone's living proof that God is still faithful, still present, still writing stories that defy statistics, and none of that happens unless you obey. That's why heaven has been so specific with you. That's why the Spirit has whispered, nudged, warned, and pulled. Because this next act of obedience is not optional, it is critical. Before the 1st of July, there will be a prompting that seems small. A phone call, a conversation, a release, a submission, and it may not feel loud or urgent, but don't underestimate it. Because that moment may be the very gate through which another soul is freed. You are not just being elevated, you are being entrusted. And trust in the kingdom comes not through titles, but through surrendered decisions. You don't need a spotlight to make impact. You need a yes. A yes that costs you something. A yes that interrupts your plans. A yes that silences fear. A yes that unleashes legacy. This is what your waiting has been about, not just preparing you to receive, but preparing you to carry the weight of other people's freedom. God is building a bridge through your life, and others will walk across it into deliverance. But only if you keep building with faith, brick by brick, act by act, moment by moment. The window is narrow. The hour is holy. And your yes is the key. Chosen one. You may have thought this was the closing of a chapter. You may have felt like things were winding down, like the silence was permanent, like the promises were slowly fading into impossibility. But what feels like the end is not death, it's delivery. You are not being buried. You are being unveiled. The breaking, the pruning, the delay, the quiet, none of it was wasted. All of it was preparation for this hour, the one heaven has had circled for you since before time touched the earth. Before the 1st of July, what was hidden will be seen. What was silent will begin to speak. What was pressed down will begin to rise. Because this is not your conclusion, it is your commissioning. This is the moment where God begins to reveal why He allowed every unanswered question, every long night, every painful obedience. This is where clarity rises out of the chaos and purpose begins to speak louder than the pain. The alignment is complete, the timing is exact, and the veil is beginning to lift. But you must stay positioned. You must remain sensitive, because what heaven is revealing now is not to entertain you, it's to assign you. This isn't about blessing for comfort. It's about power for mission. The visibility that comes next is not for applause, it is for impact. You are not being promoted for status, you are being revealed for purpose. And that purpose will not make sense to those who haven't walked your path. Don't expect everyone to understand the unveiling. It's not for the myths for heaven's agenda. It's for the ones you've been called to. It's for the generations who will be healed, guided, and awakened because you stayed faithful in the dark. So, as the 1st of July approaches, do not retreat. Do not doubt what you're beginning to sense. This is not a false start. This is the moment the earth begins to echo what heaven has known about you all along. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time because God Himself set the clock. The unveiling has begun. Chosen one, you've walked too far through fire to doubt now. You've endured too many silent battles, carried too many unseen burdens, and obeyed through too many painful seasons to question the timing of what's unfolding. This is not just another moment. This is the threshold of fulfillment. And as the 1st of July approaches, you are not being tested in your strength anymore, you are being tested in your surrender. This final stretch doesn't demand more striving. It requires full, fearless obedience. Heaven isn't waiting on your perfection, it's waiting on your yes. Not a hesitant yes, not a yes that depends on comfort, but a yes that steps out before the path is visible. A yes that trusts God more than your understanding. A yes that says, even if it costs me, even if it scares me, even if I don't see what's next, I will still follow. Because in the kingdom, obedience is not weakness. It is the gate through which glory flows. And the weight of what God is preparing to release cannot be carried by those who play it safe. It can only be carried by those who trust Him fully. In the days ahead, you may receive subtle instructions, nudges from the Spirit that seem small but carry eternal significance. Don't overlook them. What feels ordinary may be the key to extraordinary acceleration. God may ask you to call someone, close something, begin again, or step away. And when He does, don't delay. Obedience in this hour is not about convenience, it's about divine timing. Heaven is already moving, the momentum is building, and the Spirit will not wait for hesitation. Acceleration belongs to those whose obedience is immediate, unshaken, and total. This is your moment. This is the chapter that shifts your legacy, not because you earned it, but because you endured, because you trusted when you could have turned back, because you remained faithful when no one clapped, when no one knew, when no one stayed. And now, heaven is drawing near with fire and favor, not to entertain you, but to entrust you. You are not just being elevated, you are being assigned, and the assignment cannot begin until your answer is complete. So as the 1st of July draws near, ask yourself this: will you say yes again? Will you trust him without a map? Will you move when he whispers? Will you let go of what is good so you can step into what is God? Everything that's been building in secret hinges on your response. You are not waiting on heaven. Heaven is waiting on you. This is not the end. This is the opening. The gate is before you, and obedience is the key that turns the lock. Walk through it. Closing, prophetic prayer for the chosen one. Father in heaven, I lift up this one whom you have called this vessel marked for glory, this soul forged through fire. You have seen every tear they've cried in silence, every step they've taken in obedience, every night they have whispered, I trust you, even when nothing made sense. And yet, here they are still standing, still waiting, still listening. That alone is worship. So now, I ask you, Lord of time and eternity, to do what only you can. Activate divine acceleration over their life. Open the gates that no man can shut. Assign angels to walk beside them and war on their behalf. Let the 1st of July be not just a date on the calendar, but a divine line in the spirit where the old breaks, the new begins, and heaven invades earth on their behalf. Where there is fear, release boldness. Where there is confusion, speak clarity. Where there is weariness, pour fresh oil. And where there is delay, God, let there be sudden movement. I declare that nothing that was lost will go unredeemed, and nothing that was endured will be wasted. Let every surrendered yes be multiplied 100-fold in impact, in favor, and in divine access. Father, protect their mind from distraction. Guard their heart from bitterness. Awaken their spirit to your whispers. May they recognize your voice above every noise, and may they obey without hesitation. Let their obedience become a weapon against darkness, a key that unlocks miracles, and a signal to heaven that they are ready. I declare that the 1st of July will not pass them by, that what you have written in the scrolls of eternity will come to pass on earth as it is in heaven. I cancel every assignment of delay, every voice of doubt, and every spirit of sabotage. This chosen one will rise. They will step into divine alignment. They will carry glory, and their life will be a living testimony that obedience still moves the hand of God. In the name of Jesus Christ, the one who obeyed unto death and was raised in glory, I seal this prayer. I call forth the unveiling. I call forth the suddenlies. I call forth the next dimension of their calling. And I say to the winds of the Spirit, blow now. Let the appointed one rise. Amen.